I was on Twitter the other day and something very interesting caught my eye. It was a tweet storm by somebody named Foon, which spoke about how crazy our human brains are. And, usually all the content on my podcast is pretty original, but I had to talk about this. I have to talk about it because it just tells you how the brain is so unreliable. You see, the reason we invented measuring devices, whether that be a scale, whether that be a calculator, or whether that be, weights, is because the human brain can't be trusted to make any accurate measurement. Here's an example. So there is a physical problem with our eyes. We move them in very short, fast bursts, and these are known as saccades, right? They're very quick, synchronized movements. But when we actually do this, when we move our eyes quickly, our vision goes blurry. Having your vision turn into a blurry mess every time you move your eyes, it's obviously a stupid idea. So what our brain does is it removes it from our memory. So what Foon talks about is that if you're an engineer, there are two obvious things you can do. The first thing is every time there's movement, you just make your vision go black. And many VR games do this, in fact. It's so when you're in VR, the edges of your screen actually go black during fast movement to prevent you from feeling nausea and feeling dizzy. The second idea is to just keep showing the last thing we saw just before the movement, right? So we just keep this image of whatever happened just before the quick movement and we continue replaying that inside the brain. Both are good options, they have stupid downsides, and it works if everything worked in order. But your brain does neither of these two options. It doesn't take any of these two options. What it does is first it keeps your visual system on pause. You're not seeing blackness or even anything. You're just not seeing. And then when you finish this fast movement of your eyes, and you're at your new position, it just removes whatever you saw over the last few seconds. That's what it does. It actually just eliminates the fact that your vision was paused. It makes you forget the fact that it paused vision. So what it does is as soon as you finish your fast movement, it shows you the new image, but then time shifts it backward. So it seems like you were seeing it the whole time your eyes were moving. And your brain is not something that has a consistent clock, and that's why this works. And your brain lies to you all the time just to make simple things like this work. Which is why I feel like if somebody actually made the brain, if there was actually a hacker that created it, he or she is not a very good one. Now, one way you can actually test this is if you see or watch a normal analog clock, that is a clock with the seconds and an hour's hand, and you just look at it and then look away just for a second and then look back at the second hand. So just look at that, the hand that keeps moving every second, look away for a few seconds or a microsecond and look back. It seems like it'll take longer than a second to move and then it resumes moving as normal. You are actually literally pausing time. Your visual system just lied to you about how long time is just to cover up the physical limitations of that chemical camera that you have in your eyes. And the word chemical camera orbs is something that Foon, that's what he calls our eyes. And I find that's a very, very funny name, but chemistry is one part of how your eyes work. Obviously, it is a physical solid organ. It's called saccadic masking, this entire process, right? And this particular thing where your brain shows you an after image, it's called chronostasis, right? And it happens for about a half a second, right? Just so that you don't feel nausea and you don't feel the blurring sensation of your eyes moving fast. Now, one question you might be asking, and Foon asks himself, is wouldn't your vision pausing for half a second have all kinds of weird effects on moving objects? Like, why don't they appear to stutter? And the answer your brain puts out is even more hacky, right? Just to avoid you seeing blurry, stuttery objects, your brain runs you through even more hacks, right? If you've got a clock where the second hand doesn't tick but moves smoothly, where that it's not a per second click, 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 it keeps running continuously, you won't see it because your brain recognizes it's a moving object and adjusts what you see to make sure it's the right thing. It's only really obvious with periodically moving things that move according to a metronome, like that of a second's hand which moves every second. It's easy to think of your eyes and visual system as some camera that's just dumping a feed onto your brain and then flipping it upside down. But that's not the case, because what you think you see and what your eyes actually see are two very exceptionally different separate things. The big obvious one is the blind spot. We know that we have a blind spot. There's an area, you can actually go to Google and type blind spot experiment with your eyes. And there is a spot where you actually can't see at all. And you can obviously Google this experiment. It's hard for me to explain. And again, your brain stitches an image there. It's just, your brain does so many hacky things just to make sure you have a consistent worldview. And it's not optimal or well created at all. This is one of the reasons why humans invented the concept of measuring devices. There is no such thing as objective reality because your brain basically stitches everything together. Your brain is only a device concerned with survival, and it only shows you what you need to see to survive and get your food and run away from predators and reproduce. So, do you know what the best measuring device is if you want to see something accurately? It's a camera. Right? We literally invented this device to see something more accurately than your brain doing hacky stuff over everything you already see. One more thing Foon adds is that, lasers can do a lot of damage to your eyes. But laser damage, even when it deals quite a bit of damage to your eyes, your brain will still continue to cover it up. So you can actually damage a small spot of your retina and your brain will still cover it up, right? Because that's what it does best. There was an experiment back in 1890 where somebody wore glasses made with mirrors to flip their vision. After about 8 days, the vision system started flipping it backwards and they could see a normal image, right? So that's the weird part. Like, your brain literally knows how to adjust to things, right? And even if you screw up your vision, because your vision is so important, your brain will either stitch things in or reset your vision or work with any filters or parallels you put just so you can see a consistent image. So if you guys want to know more or read some sci-fi on saccadic masking, there's actually this crazy sci-fi novel by Peter Watts. It's called Blindside. It's about where humans encounter an alien race who can move very fast, and the only time they move is when you actually have saccades, where you actually move your eyes quickly. So if you're just staring at one place, then these aliens don't move at all. But if you move your eyes, that's when the aliens move. So imagine a situation where you're just staring straight and there's this crazy alien and it's not moving at all, but you know that whenever you move your eyes, the next second you move it, the alien is going to be much, much closer to your face. So if you move your eyes twice, the alien is right next to your face. So it's a brilliant novel to read. You guys should read it. I read it after, going through that tweet thread that Foon put out, and you should check out Foon on Twitter. But that's the cool part. Your brain is a goddamn liar.